during the darkest days of World War II, as resources were diverted to the war effort and the threat of fire from bombings or accidents loomed large, ordinary citizens found themselves cut off from essential safety materials. Fire-retardant paints, chemical coatings, and materials like asbestos were suddenly unavailable for civilian use. Necessity, as it so often does, became the mother of invention, leading to one of the most remarkable yet entirely forgotten innovations of the era: a simple, homemade ** fireproofing paste ** crafted from nothing more than flour, salt, and water. This humble mixture was applied to wood, fabric, and even paper, creating a protective barrier that significantly slowed down the process of burning, offering families a crucial lifeline against accidental fires and incendiary sparks. The brilliance of this paste lay not in its complexity, but in its surprising effectiveness at insulating surfaces from intense heat. People discovered that combining ordinary, non-flammable kitchen staples in the correct ratios could yield a surprisingly robust fire resistance. The underlying secret was a blend of sheer necessity and clever, grassroots experimentation. Bakers, homemakers, and engineers alike realized that the same basic ingredients used for making dough and glue could actually prevent other materials from igniting. Both flour and salt contain elements that behave uniquely and beneficially when exposed to heat. The flour's starches are the foundation, swelling and forming a thick, carbonized crust when burned. The salt, meanwhile, plays a dual role. It releases trapped moisture, which cools the surface and forms a barrier that actively chokes out oxygen, a necessary component for combustion. When these two are correctly mixed with water and applied to a material, they form a paste that stiffens as it dries, and then, crucially, chars slowly under heat rather than immediately bursting into an open flame. The effectiveness of this wartime shield hinged entirely on the ratio and application method. The most widespread and trusted formula, circulated in wartime survival manuals and home safety pamphlets, was consistently given as 2 parts flour, 1 part salt, and 3 parts water. These ingredients were to be stirred together over gentle heat until the mixture thickened into a smooth paste. Once a wooden board, canvas, or piece of paper was thoroughly coated and left to dry completely, the result was a non-flammable layer that would visibly darken when exposed to open flame, but stubbornly refuse to ignite. The longevity and degree of protection were directly linked to the careful preparation of the paste itself. Creating this fireproof paste correctly required a specific culinary step. The flour had to be cooked first. The basic method involved heating 2 cups of water until it was warm in a medium pot. Then, 1 cup of flour was whisked in very slowly to prevent any clumping. As the mixture began to thicken, a half cup of salt was added and stirred continuously until the entire concoction transformed into a smooth, glossy paste. It was then removed from the heat and allowed to cool fully before application. The addition of salt wasn't just about bolstering the fire-retardant properties. It also served a practical purpose by preventing the starch mixture from molding while in storage, a key consideration during a time when materials had to last. Though the original, essential recipe relied purely on salt and starch, some people, if they were lucky enough to acquire it, occasionally added a spoonful of **borax** to further boost the flame retardant qualities. Once cooled, the paste was applied in a thin, even layer, and then left to dry for a minimum of a full day. For enhanced protection, a second, or even a third, coat was applied, each layer adding a greater degree of resistance, much like layering varnish or paint to weatherproof a surface. The true magic of the flour and salt paste lay in its ability to create a charring barrier rather than attempting to prevent heat entirely. No organic material can completely stop a fire, but this old recipe fundamentally changed the ** behavior of the burn. Untreated wood and fabric ignite rapidly because oxygen readily meets their dry fibers. The flour salt coating cleverly disrupted this process into primary ways. Firstly, upon exposure to intense heat, the starch molecules in the flour rapidly expanded and gelatinized, effectively forming a dense layer of carbon. This carbonized shield physically cut off the oxygen supply to the underlying material, drastically slowing down the burn. Secondly, as the salts became hot, it released the trapped moisture within the paste, a process that cooled the surface and created a brief, effective steam barrier. The combined result was a significant delayed ignition, leaving a surface that blackened and smoked, but did not immediately burst into destructive flames. This basic chemical principle remains highly relevant today. In fact, the core mechanism of action, the use of starches, borates, and sodium compounds as active fire inhibitors, is still very much at the heart of many modern, commercial flame retardant coatings. In essence, this simple wartime discovery was an early, eco-friendly version of what modern scientists would later refine and package. Today, this ancient technique finds practical modern uses for anyone invested in sustainable living, homesteading, or DIY building. For homesteaders, gardeners, and those building small outdoor projects, this old technique offers a simple, accessible layer of safety. If you are constructing tool sheds, compost bins, raised garden beds, or any small wooden structure near a fire-prone area, applying the flour and salt coating is a valuable step. The modern application is straightforward. Mix the ingredients, cook the paste, and brush it onto wooden panels before any final painting or sealing. Once it is thoroughly dry, the surface can be lightly sanded or painted over with natural finishes like milk paint or linseed oil. For garden fabrics, such as burlap used for shading or wrapping tree trunks, a diluted version of the paste, perhaps 1 part paste to 3 parts water, can be used as a soak. Allowing the fabric to fully dry will make it significantly less susceptible to catching fire from stray sparks or burning debris. Even modern permaculturists have adopted this method to pre-treat straw bale walls before they are plastered, an essential step in reducing the risk of ignition during the early construction phase. Beyond its immediate safety benefits, the flour and salt mixture is an excellent teaching tool. Understanding how these commonplace ingredients interact under stress provides a tangible lesson in the fundamentals of thermal insulation and basic chemical behavior in natural materials. It is simple, applied chemistry, a perfect reminder that the most effective solutions don't always come in complicated, expensive packaging. The true, lasting value of rediscovering this wartime technique lies in its simplicity and sustainability. The flour and salt fireproofing paste is entirely biodegradable, non-toxic, and made from renewable resources. In a world that is constantly searching for greener alternatives to harsh industrial chemicals, this forgotten formula offers both safety and environmental responsibility. It powerfully demonstrates that effective fire resistance can be achieved without complex industrial additives, requiring only a fundamental understanding of how natural compounds react when subjected to heat stress. More profoundly, this simple paste captures the incredible resourcefulness of people who lived through unimaginable hardship. They found safety, strength, and resilience in simplicity. By reintroducing this knowledge to modern homes and workshops, we preserve not just a practical skill, but also a vital piece of the human spirit. The wartime fireproofing paste made from flour and salt is far more than a historical curiosity. It is a proven, practical formula with real-world applications for the 21st century. Whether your goal is to treat wood for a garden shed, reinforce cloth for outdoor use, or simply integrate sustainable materials into your life, this non-toxic, effective mixture is a valuable addition to your self-sufficiency toolkit.